Welcome back. This is Robin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were having a very interesting conversation about the takeaways from the 2023 presidential elections. There's so much for us to learn from the 2023 presidential election, and we have the opportunity to correct some of the discrepancies and the inconsistencies witnessed in the last election with the forthcoming state elections. To discuss this with me, I have Mayowa Idowu, who is a journalist and a lawyer, joining me in the studio. Also, I have Sandra Ezekwesili, who is a broadcast journalist par excellence, joining me via Skype. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Mayowa.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Fantastic. So I'm going to quickly just throw the question to you straight away, Sandra. We have seen such a huge support for the third force, the Labour Party, and of course its candidate, Peter Obi. Young people have gravitated towards that particular individual and the party. And this is such a good thing for our democracy. But the question now is, how do you think young people can also infiltrate other parties such as, the APC and the PDP to make sure that we have a very balanced system?
I don't think young people need to infiltrate the APC and the PDP for a balanced system. I think that if they have found their home with Labour Party, then they should stay with Labour Party and find ways that they can replicate their victory on Saturday at granular levels. So for state, local governments, state assemblies, etc., etc. I think that what the older parties, the more established parties need to do is to woo the young people. There's a reason the young people rejected the candidates that, or some of them, because not all of them, you have young people who also voted for the candidates of the PDP and the candidates of the APC. So for the young people who rejected the other candidates and decided to go in a different direction, walk a new path, I think, in my opinion, personal opinion now, I think that the more established parties need to do a bit of wooing there. And if you pay attention to what Bola Ahmed Tinubu said during his acceptance speech, it does look like there will be some wooing happening, because he did say, quote, young people, we have heard you loud and clear. Right. What does that mean? What will that mean going forward? No one knows. But in my opinion, the young people have decided this is the party we want, this is the party that we can grow with, grow into, and that's fine. If the other establishment parties want to, align with the young people, then they should be doing some wooing here.
Fantastic. Mayowa, the emotions are really high on social media, and the reason why we keep talking about social media is that a lot of young people are on social media, and it has provided that space for people to interact and banter. However, how do you think we can control, and by control I don't mean suppression of anybody's speech, I mean how do we think you can control all of those emotions happening, especially in the past few days, particularly for Lagos? You've seen that there's been a lot of tribal sentiments coming up on here, up and down. And I personally think it's a scheme by the elites, because we don't remember tribe until elections. So how do you think we can sort of maneuver and enlighten everybody to make them understand that we shouldn't be against each other?
Okay, so this is interesting. Earlier this week, I was looking at, I was trying to study like the deportation drives between Nigeria and Ghana. So I think there was a deportation drive in Ghana of Nigerian people in the 50s. And then in the early 80s, there was, Ghana must go. And what I realized, like the common link was that these things only happen when there's economic strife. So it's because, things aren't great, conditions aren't bad. That is when you can, pull on this like mythological other person and say, this person is X, Y, Z, don't vote for them. So I think there needs to be, first of all, a conversation amongst the political elites as to why people feel the things they feel. So it's a statement of failure. It's an idea that, you guys have not performed as well as you have, and because you haven't, you have to, stoke up these ethnic tensions and use it to manipulate people towards elections. I also think, there needs to be responsibility. So for instance, we're referencing, what's been going on in Lagos State. I don't see any reason why, someone from the APC, either a spokesperson or, for instance, the governor himself, would call people to order, basically saying, this thing is going on, we don't like it, we shouldn't be doing this. We're from Lagos, we accommodate people from, different backgrounds, other places, and this is how we should do it. So I think there definitely needs to be some form of responsibility taken to kind of mediate that conversation.
Okay. Okay, and also from the legal point of view, what do you think the INEC needs to put in place? And what are the legal implications if they also fail, quote and unquote, in this forthcoming elections, if they don't, put their house together?
I think INEC is a regulator, so we're always very careful about what we say about regulators. I think INEC needs to, first of all, put in place better communication. I think one of the reasons why INEC has been able to lose credibility and trust is because people don't trust the things that they're saying or they're doing. I also think, they need to be a bit more transparent in, what they're doing and why they are doing certain things. For instance, in my case, on the day of the presidential elections, my polling unit, there was nobody there. And we were driving around looking, people were telling us, check this place, check this place, check this place. They didn't show up until 11:30 or 12. And in that, I think there were 80 people registered there, only 37 people showed up, eventually voted. So on one hand, someone will say, there's depressed turnout, but many people do you know, like, basically went back home because they weren't able to vote? So I think INEC has to communicate better. So, these things, it should be clear. You shouldn't have to, like, be walking on the road and asking people on the road, oh, do you know where this polling unit is? Yeah, I think that's what we need from INEC going forward.
Okay, Sandra, Peter Obi had a press conference and he said, and I quote, we won the elections and we're going to prove it. One of the concerns of a lot of people has been that the opponents haven't conceded in this election and they want to follow due process and go to the courts. What does that say about our nation in terms of president-elects moving forward? We have a very divided nation. What's the implication of this very huge division, and what can be done about it?
I think that if a person loses something and they think that somebody else stole that thing from them, they have every right to invite law enforcement to investigate whether or not a thing has been stolen from them. Now, law enforcement can investigate and they find that, Organa, wow, now false alarm you just raised, so everybody goes home, no farm, no harm. Or perhaps the person who was accused of theft will say, you impugned my integrity, you impugned my character, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to ensure that you pay for this slander, Or the law enforcement can say, they stole Shao, but okay, how can we solve this in a way that makes you happy? And I think that in any civilized society, we should encourage people to look for accountability. We should encourage people to seek out justice if they feel like they've been wronged. And it's instructive to note that both Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi and their vices have said to their supporters, remain calm. However, Nigerian politicians and the political class and the elite whose bread and butter is often ensured by upholding criminality and injustice, will use language such as, oh, they are heating up the polity, oh, they are trying to make people go out into the streets. We need to overcome the trauma that keeps us in a place where we do not agree as a society that if a person feels like they've been wronged, it is up to them to seek redress. Seeking redress is not a sign that they are asking for violence, especially when they have gone out of their way to say everybody remain peaceful. In fact, the woman said, go and vote again on March 11th. In fact, the supporters of the political parties that feel like they were robbed are even saying, we're going to go and vote again on March 11th to show our anger. The only people who keep talking about, oh, don't heat up the politics, oh, let's keep things calm, etc., are the ones who have won the victory, who have been announced the victors. If you've been announced the victors and someone is challenging your victory, you tell them go to court like they did. And if they're not going to court, why are you there coming to say, oh, why not just call and concede? Why not just, keep things calm? Especially when those opponents are already asking their supporters to
Right.
remain calm throughout the entire process. So it's either one thing or it's the other. It can't be both.
Yeah, so I'm going to take it from a point that you just raised, that a lot of the people that have supported, the LP and of course PDP have said that they're going to take out their anger, quote unquote, on March 11. So are you saying that there is such a thing as revenge votes, and how do you think that affects, the elections?
Some would say that LP's emergence is revenge votes in its entirety. Nigerians for the longest time, so I host a radio show on Nigerian FM called Hard Facts, and every single day from 3 to 7, people are calling me, talking to me about their dissatisfaction with the establishment, whether it's PDP or whether it's APC. People were calling all the time. We need something new. We need something fresh. So in a way, a lot of the support that LP currently enjoys, some could say, is already revenge vote. More of that vengeance is what we're probably going to see on the 11th of March. That's, of course, if you have the chief security officers of different states commit to ensuring that people are safe, people are able to actually come out and vote. Because there was a lot of violence in Lagos last Saturday, and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has still not come out to say, oh, this was wrong, this is what we're doing to solve that problem, to ensure that you can come out again and vote. People are already calling me and they're telling me that in places like Mushin and other parts of Lagos, they're already being threatened. You better not come out to vote except you're coming out to vote for the APC. And these are really serious allegations, really serious claims. One would expect the governor of the state or his people to get in front of that and try to ensure people you're safe. Come out. We don't care who you're going to vote for. Voting is your fundamental human right. It's a civic duty you have. We recognize it. We're going to protect you to do it, regardless of who you're voting for. What we have instead is the senior special advisor of the governor on health. I'm talking about Orooluwa Fini now, on Twitter, asking people, what state are you from? If you're not a true Lagosian, you cannot be involved in Lagos matters. And if someone that high up in the state government is saying something like that in public without fear of repercussions, it makes one begin to wonder, okay, well, what's happening within the governor's office? Why are they not addressing the insane tribalism currently online, being carried out by some of their foot soldiers? Why are they not on several media platforms, TV, radio, Twitter Spaces, Instagram Live, assuring people, we will keep you safe, come out and vote. We will ensure that we walk with you, we're in front of you, no thugs will come after you. We have a Baba of Elegushi who said to people after elections, oh, we didn't recognize the faces, and almost said it as, oh, that's the reason why there was violence, because we didn't know all these faces that came to vote in front of our palace this time around. Have we had any statement from the state governor? No. Have we had any statement from his commissioners who are in charge of security in the state? No. The police has called a stakeholders meeting with young people and violence, trying to ensure that security in the state is of health, security in the state is put together. But it would be more reassuring if we were hearing those things from the actual governor of the state.
Right. I'm sure that definitely he's watching this program, and I'm hoping that his representatives will make him do what is right and just sort of calm the polity. We had such a huge show of force leading to, before the presidential elections, we saw all of the big guns and we saw military people in their numbers. And all of a sudden during elections, it seemed like they had disappeared. You know, we had issues and we had evidences on social media where a lot of voter intimidation was being carried out even in the presence of law enforcement. How do you think maybe perhaps, of course INEC is in charge, but how do you think the federal body can ensure that Lagos, and not just Lagos, other states, is truly secured and people feel safe to come out? Because of the intimidation of that happened during the presidential elections, some people were not confident enough to come out to vote for the gubernatorial elections. So how do you think we can sort that security issue?
I think the only person or the only people who can sort that security issue is the federal government. So you have a situation where obviously there's law enforcement, and an election is obviously a very, it's a national exercise, but obviously people don't feel like they're being supported. Because I know in a lot of polling units, what you had was, you had three people. You had the NYSC official, you had the INEC official, and you had one paltry policeman. Anybody can come and do whatever it is they need to do. So I think it will probably be some like ramping up in terms of security, ensuring that people are dispatched properly, that there's what's it called, that the police or whoever it is, your law enforcement are not understaffed, so that they're there in good numbers and they can help ensure that the process goes as smoothly as possible.
Right. Okay. Sandra, a lot of people were seizing seats from the LP party, and a lot of them did not even anticipate such a huge win. And many people have described this as the Peter Obi effect. Now, how strong do you think their representation will be at the federal level, and how do you think these people that some of them might not have expected to win, how do you think they will be able to navigate through the system and the challenge that lies ahead?
So they won what, 38, 40 seats in the House of Reps. My numbers are probably off at the moment. Here's what I will say: the people who have been at the National Assembly for years now got into the National Assembly at some point for the first time, and they have since that time, within that time, learned how to be lawmakers. What is happening with LP and these people who are getting into the National Assembly for the first time is not unique to Nigeria. Nigeria hasn't done anything magical here. We have people getting into national assemblies all over the world for the very first time, some of them much younger than these men and women who are put into the National Assembly right now. So while we're patting ourselves on the back, there are people who are flying, so please can we all just calm down? And there are people who did it for the first time and they learned how to do it while they were on the job. They figured it out. It's not rocket science to figure out what are the needs of my constituents, what kind of laws should I be pushing for that will help the greater good. It's not that complicated of a job, so let's not make it a thing. I've been following the conversation from a few Nollywood stars about Banky W's loss and how, oh, they don't even know this guy, but they know Banky W. And I'm just like, that's not essentially how lawmaking works, because the two gentlemen in question from Ethiopia have never been lawmakers. How do you know that one is going to be better than the other? Is it because one, is more popular, is on our screens, giving us great music, great movies, and the other one not so much? You have people who are, bringing out, what's the word I'm looking for now, pictures and video evidence of the other guy who won Ethiopia, doing actual grassroots work, the same way that Banky W did when he was campaigning. So just like the gentleman from Ethiopia, the Okada rider in southern Kaduna, all these people will get in there and they will learn on the job. I remember my very first job as a broadcaster. I didn't know what I was doing. I learned on the job, and then when you get in there, they're going to form alliances. If the opposition candidates decide that they want to put forth the Speaker of the House, for example, they can work out an alliance between the PDP, LP, all the other parties that were able to send people into the House of Assembly, into the House of Representatives, into the Senate. They can figure out a way to work together for the betterment of us as Nigerians. Right. We need to understand that governance is nobody's birthright. Governance is nobody's reward. Governance is serious business. You are there to do a job. Hero, nobody gave you this job as a reward for being a fine boy. Nobody gave you this job as your reward for knowing a few people. You were given this job because you're good at the job. I was given my job because I'm good at the job, or I made a case that I could be good at my job. When people come to campaign for your votes, they're making a case to you. I fit do this work, oh. Then you say, okay, let's give you a try. When you give them a try, you don't like what they're doing, you kick them out, you elect someone new. I think it's too early to start saying, oh, we don't know what this person is going to do. We really don't. If Baki had won, we don't know. If this gentleman that has won, we don't know. We do know about Nicolo's track record, though, which is why people in just have said we don't want him going back in there. We want new people. And now they're giving it to someone new. And yes, it is the Peter Obi effect. That's something that people were not paying attention to when Peter Obi started campaigning. They were not paying attention to the victory that will cascade down, all the new people who will be swept into the into the National Assembly alongside a Peter Obi presidency if he had been declared winner. Now we're there, these people, if they hold on to their seats, because it might still end up in litigation, people might still go to court to try and get their seats back, you know? So if they're able to hold on to their seats, if they get in there, they will learn on the job. If they're not able to figure it out in 4 years, people are free to vote them out again.
Okay, Mayowa, devoid of the political party, devoid of political interest, how do you think we can get Nigerians to get really interested at the very local level? Because all of the attention is on the presidential candidates, gubernatorial candidates. A lot of people are not looking at the State House of Assembly and the representation there. So how do we get people, Nigerians, to pay as much attention to even down to the councillor that will be elected at the local government level? How do we get Nigerians to just pay attention and give their energy, just the same energy they give to the presidency? How do we get people involved at the local level?
I think there are two answers, or there are two anchors to this problem. I think the first one is cultural. So culturally, we focus on the macro. We focus on, you know, the governor, the president, because we feel like those are the people that make decisions that affect us. But to counter that, we need increased civics education. You need to know what the role of your local lawmaker is. You need to know what the role of your local government chairman is, so that you can hold them to account. I think the other one is more of a, over the years, there's been a systematic disempowerment of those lesser positions. So you're talking of your local government chairman, your councillor, your state assembly representative. And the reason why is because you have a situation where, for instance, with a lot of governors don't conduct local government elections. They put caretaker committees and they just use it to reward, like, you know, the party patronage system. You also have a situation where the local governments have been underfunded, because I think if you look at the revenue sharing formula, 52% is retained by the federal government, 27% is supposed to go to the states, and then 21% is supposed to go to the local governments. But then the states are the one responsible for administering the funds to the local government. So you have a situation, and they do it at their discretion. So you have a situation where your local governments and all these other lesser positions have been underfunded over the years. So I think the answer to that is better education. So we need to know what these people are doing. So your state lawmaker is not there to come and fix your road. Or the gutter is, the stagnant water in the gutter, we need to clear it. That's for your local government. So people need to know who to hold accountable for these things and hold them accountable. And then I think also on a broader level, it's about ensuring that those levels are funded properly, because then they will be able to work for the people they represent.
We're out of time. There was a very pertinent question I'd wanted to really find out. You know, I saw it on social media where they said most of our representatives are not supposed to literally do capital projects.
Yes.
Right? And because people would like to see projects, they now end up building toilets.
Yeah.
You know, they made reference to Surigeri, right? But in itself, it's not really their job to build it. It's just their job to represent us and make sure that capital projects come from the federal and state governments, right?
Yeah.
But because people want to see what has this particular politician done, they just end up just doing something to show for it. Sandra, final words in 30 seconds before we wrap up the show. It's been a very interesting conversation. Final words.
Thank you, Hero, for having me. I will advise everyone to go out again and vote. It doesn't matter how you feel about the previous elections. I think what's more important is that you go out again and you make your voice heard. When you don't go out and you believe that your voice was stolen the last time you went out, whoever it is that stole your voice before has succeeded in stealing it twice. You don't want that to happen, so go out on the 11th and cast your vote.
And that is simply hard facts. Mayowa, 30 seconds, final words.
I think I just need to reiterate to everyone that, you know, this thing is a process. It's not going to happen in 4 years. It's not going to happen in 8 months. It's going to take time. And what we just need is incremental progress year on year, period on period. So even if you're not satisfied with what happened the last time, still go out and make your voice heard. Know that, have like a very long game mindset to this.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on the program, Sandra and Mayowa.